How long will it take for a continent of Africa to get rid of hunger, to get rid of poverty, to get rid of insecurities? So, let us get into it. So, welcome. I'm a man called Jay, and you're watching Africans in London TV. We know, or the whole world know, that Africa is suffering from so many things. Riddled with hunger, riddled with poverty and insecurities. But the question is, can Africa really solve these problems on its own? The answer, I would like to believe it is yes, if only we put our mind to it. So, in this video, I will be discussing these matters of moving forward with a man called Temitope Olodo from African Security. He knows Africa inside out. And in fact, he knows West Africa even more inside and inside out. So we are going to be talking about ECOWAS. ECOWAS was founded in 1975, and it is 15 member states. And its aim was to solve all the problems that I have spoken about. But it seems, since 1975, there has been no progress. And in fact, it seems it is walking backwards. There has been several coups because some countries, they want to take the matters into their own hands, which is plausible. They want to get rid of colonialism because some countries in West Africa, they have been under colonial rule for a long time until just recently. Now, if you think that colonialism was over 50 years ago or 60 years ago, you are wrong, because there are countries in West Africa which are living under colonialism until now. Okay, so some countries, they have said, no, we don't want that. Take, for example, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. They are saying, no, we don't want that anymore. But then again, some members from ECOWAS are saying, we are going to impose sanctions on you. But anyway, look, this is not my job to explain all this. Here is Temitope Olodo. Yes, Mr. Temitope Olodo. So now,
thank you for having me.
the question, yes, the question that I'm asking, ECOWAS, we know it is a 15 member states bloc,
Yeah.
which was formed in 1975
Yes.
to solve problems in the region. It was started to promote peace, to combat any problem to do with the security, and also to elevate the well-being of West Africans. So, in your view, is ECOWAS working or is not working?
Thank you so much for having me on your program. And it's quite interesting. The question you've asked is quite an interesting one because the founding fathers of ECOWAS will be turning around in their grave, with the current situation and the catch-22 that the bloc has found itself. As you have clearly illustrated with your intro, we are now in a situation where members of this bloc, some of the countries in this bloc, have been shut out of the membership on the basis that they have participated in an undemocratic activities, which is shining a bad light on the country. These are landlocked countries, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. And as a result, as you could see from the map, they are actually at the far end. They're locked in. They don't have access, to the ocean, just like Cote d'Ivoire or Ghana or Benin or Nigeria or even Senegal. But yet these countries have a serious problem. The problem is a problem of jihadists, in the Sahel, which is causing them a lot of headache. And what they've decided to do was to take their destiny in their hands with the coup plotters, members of the military elite, taking over or being involved in one coup or the other. And ECOWAS is saying, no, you can't do this, and they've been supported by EU. The question then that we need to ask ourselves, and anybody watching this video or this broadcast need to be asking is, what is the interest of EU in in all of this? It's important to highlight, just like you mentioned, they gave ECOWAS 212.5 million euro now for in 2023 towards the achievement of their goal. And what is that goal? A common market. It's not meant to be a political market, but a common market where the people, the millions of West African citizens can come together. And I think it's important to highlight this because trading within Africa itself is not even more than 15%. So if only we could trade among ourselves and do a lot of business among ourselves, our prosperity will be immense. But yet we're in a situation where, we have this large population, vibrant, young, skilled individuals, that any nation in the world or any country, any continent we want. But yet we are not able to make this work. And I'm a bit surprised, just like most of your viewers, because when the coup happened, there was two school of thought. There's that school of thought that says we cannot allow these people to disrupt democratic program process, but yet there's also that school of thought that says that there is an underlying reason behind those coups. Why we will not support any coup plot or coup d'etat, yet these disruptive activities by these individuals have been celebrated by the citizens of those countries. So which more or less denotes that this coup is not like the coups of the 90s that we were all familiar with during our own time as students of politics. Because those coups came in to deal with corruption and what the chip on the shoulders of the military that believed that they could do better by ensuring democratic practices are enshrined, and suspend the constitution. But in this situation, the three countries involved, the citizens are saying that their elite have collided with the imperialists, with French in particular, to cater away their freedom, as a sovereign country. These are countries where even though they make money, they have to deposit the money in French, central bank, and then French government will lend them back their money. Nobody does that nobody wants that in the 21st century. But there should have been ways in which they could resolve this without using coup as a means to disrupt the process. And that is where ECOWAS have found itself. But I think it's also important to highlight that just like your viewers are reading on the screen, that the relationship, financial agreement signed between EU and ECOWAS is 212.5 million euro.
Million.
Yes, million euro. Yet, the budget of ECOWAS itself is 397 million. That then brings a lot of questions. It's
Yeah, but
literally as if,
tell me. Let me just
yes, sir.
ask this question because it is very, very, very interesting. So when we look at the text on there, you know, it says that the money is given to ECOWAS to actually to promote peace, environment, education, and many other things. So this, let me ask this question here. Why is it that European countries are giving us money to actually to solve our own problems like education, transportation, security? What does that really say to us?
It says a lot of things because there's a lot happening. You don't give away money to people just like that without any benefit attached to it. And of course, there must be benefits there. And the question I'm asking, which I know most of the viewers will be asking, because when they Google to look at the budget of ECOWAS, they notice it's 397 million. Now, if a block is giving you 212 million, which means you only have just about 100 and something million to contribute from your own self. Now, this is a population of over 300 million. Nigeria alone is almost 200 million, not to talk of all the other countries. So what we're saying now is that ECOWAS, in terms of its population, in terms of its power, has a lot to offer. And yet, EU is giving them money. So why will anything work? Why will ECOWAS work when another bloc is actually giving them money to be able to survive? That's a serious question. Are they giving them that money in charity to protect themselves, or are they giving them that money in order to keep them undeveloped? Because there are clauses there that prevents them to be able to operate effectively within the World Trade Center, the trading blocks and things like that. There are questions that we need to ask, because we need to really go into this financial agreement signed to say, okay, if you are helping us with peace and security and transportation, is it because we are giving you something in exchange that is much more? Because I'll tell you, if a country comes to Nigeria or to Ghana and give them 500 million, they must be taking out more than that amount. The Chinese that are giving out money to African countries, we all know that they don't even give them the cash. They bring in the equipment, they use Chinese products, and they use Chinese workers, which means that at least 60% of that money is going back into China. And your renewal of those contracts, of those equipment for you to run your train, for you to put those products are still going to come from China, because China provided those products. You can't use American product on top of the China product. It's not going to work because it's been
So,
configured
so
to fit
okay.
into that structure.
Well, thank you very much. Now, you see, I would like also to look at it this way. You see, the European money comes into these African blocks. You have to remember there is also another one in East Africa called IGAD.
Yes,
They are giving them money to do exactly the same thing, yet
yes.
they haven't actually utilized that money. Do you really think there are conditions which come with this money?
There's no doubt. There's nobody gives money away without conditions. And that's why it is the language used is 7 financial agreements signed between the EU and ECOWAS. It's a financial agreement. something must exchange hands. Something must happen in between. And we need to start looking at the blueprints of this agreement to look at it and say, what is this agreement? Because, for example, we know that the agreement between the Francophone countries and France is the reason for all the coups that is happening. The coups are not happening in English-speaking countries, but rather in French-speaking countries, because these individuals are now more or less fed up with the agreement that they have with France, where even if they have raw materials like gold just discovered or petroleum just discovered, the French agreement that they have dictates that it must be a French company that has the first right of refusal. First right of refusal. So they can't even turn to their Nigerian brothers or turn to Ghanaians or turn to Senegalese to say, you know what, we just discover oil. You people have the processes, you've done it before. Come and work with us to do it. It's not possible. So that is
So,
where the problem is.
okay. So now let us go back to these three gentlemen, Assimi Goita, Ibrahim Traore, and Tijani. They have quit. Yeah. Basically, they have quit the ECOWAS bloc.
Mhm.
They are saying they have formed their own organizations, the SSAA. Now, how do you see that developing? And then ECOWAS is saying, no, you cannot have, we cannot support you in whatever you are doing. The only thing is that they have to abide by the laws of ECOWAS. So, what do you think is going to happen?
From the look of it, it's a catch-22 because the ECOWAS protocol and the procedure makes it difficult for them to even exit anyway without a year notice. It's like they're already into this marriage and they can't get out just like that by making pronouncement. That just shows you what that these guys are military guys who does not understand the diplomacy involved in geopolitics. Now, you are creating your own group of a group to fight the insurgency in Sahel, and you're going to have your own group now. But yet, based on the knowledge that we have, you are landlocked countries. If you are fighting your enemy, your neighbors, how will you be able to relate with them? Because these guys are going to lock you out. And we know what is happening in Europe as we speak with UK and Europe. Even though UK has gone out of Europe, they still had no choice than to enter specific agreement with EU in order to be able to keep their economy afloat. Even though UK has a strong economy, with that ECOWAS there, with that EU, they are still finding it a bit difficult. Not to talk of a country that is not even as developed as UK or America, wanting to go it alone, you know, to fight the insurgents, and they still remain a landlocked country. It's going to be quite difficult for them. But of course, the question then we need to ask is this the beginning and the end of ECOWAS? Will other people also be leaving ECOWAS? Who are the other potential countries that are likely to, get out of this club? So those are the questions that we need to be asking ourselves, because there are a lot of issues, in the world at the moment, and many countries' foundation will be shaken during this 2024 with the economic crisis that is ongoing. So democratic elected leaders need to make themselves readily available to the citizens. Otherwise, this coup will not be the first or the last. There will be more within the continent.
So let us go back now to 1975 when the ECOWAS was formed. Now, I really have to ask this question again. Since 1975, it is almost 50 years now. And yet it seems that there hasn't been any progress, whether in the governance or even solving the problems that we have already spoken about. What is the cause of that?
I think there's no doubt in my mind that there will be one or two things that the ECOWAS countries could point to say, oh, this is what we've achieved. As a result of our strong stance, we have reduced the number of undemocratic countries within our bloc. So it's just those three that have just recently happened. Before that, they had a smooth run. There are collaborations at grassroots when it comes to agriculture, trade, investment. Things are opening up. ECOWAS citizens can travel within their borders seamlessly, and those are things that they can point to. But the real crush of the issue, like having a single currency and even much and much better economic integrations, those things are still not at our hand reach. They were supposed to have trains cutting across, some of the West African countries, but it's not happening. The last 10 years have been quite difficult for the body because of terrorism, that started to infiltrate, the bloc, and they've been finding it difficult to deal with it.
So, now here is the question. I think we're going to finish up because I think we are going to visit this topic a lot more because we really need to explore a lot of things. So now let us go to security.
Yeah.
You see, these gentlemen here, they are now forming alliances with Russia. Now, coming from, they have kicked out the French.
Yeah.
I would like to see it as if they're jumping from a hot pan going into another.
Yeah.
So now, what will this relationship with Russia? What will it? How is it going to be? Because you are an expert in this. You must have an insight of how this relationship will develop and how will Russia, or what does really Russia give this support in you have to give and take.
Yeah.
So what will Russia be expecting from these blocks?
It's quite interesting. We didn't want America to have a foothold in Africa, and I know a lot of countries prevented them from having their base and things like that. Apart from, of course, what they have is some of our satellite uh, countries, like they got their drone network, and things like that. But bringing in Russia into the mix is creating a dangerous precedent. And what we don't want is for um, Africa to become the test ground for some of their weapons, because they would try and help and use certain weapons. And some of them are now have been tested before, in the battlefield. So what we are hoping for is that these individuals within that 1 year will come to their senses and join the bloc and raise their grievance accordingly. But bringing Russia into the situation will only increase Americans' interest in the area, and then the weapon race will commence, because these guys will start battling each other, for access, and that's what we don't want.
So, and also, then there has been a little bit of rumors that Ibrahim Traore is also having challenges. There have been coups underneath, taking, or preparation to take him over. So, well, it's like a spiral.
Yeah, and it's not stopping there. We know that Sierra Leone had his own situation also, and that has led to the former prime minister or president being exiled to Nigeria. That conversation is ongoing. So all these guys are, all the leaders are really, really worried now. And even beneath the fact that, okay, uh, what those people did was wrong in terms of doing the coup d'etat, the bottom line is that there are some fundamental issues that need to be discussed across the bloc and certain situations addressed as quickly as possible.
So, okay, in a nutshell, it seems West Africa is not really stable as we think it should be.
In 2024, West of the security situation is not looking too good. We still have some few months for them to correct it within this month, but with the ongoing issue in with Burkina Faso, Niger, and the others, and the possibility of a coup d'etat in one or two more countries before the end of the year, one or two more countries within the end of the year within the bloc, then we have a serious issue that we need to address.
Well, Temitope Olodo, as always, thank you very much again for coming on and giving us these insights. Let me hope that we will have you again. I can't really see how we can develop when we have got such organizations lasting 50 years, yet we are still, it looks like we are walking backwards.
It's a challenge, and well, as good people continue to talk about it, then we are hoping that those corrections will be put in place to ensure that West Africa really enjoys the benefit of having ECOWAS, there.
Well, thank you very much. I hope
Thank
to
you
see
so,
you another time.
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so that was Temitope Olodo, the man with the knowledge. You have heard what he has to say, but we will come back again with more insights because we know what he has told you is just a teaser. I will come back with more questions for him, and he has got many answers. So until then, I'm a man called Jay, and you're watching Africans in London TV. Ciao.